Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Cārvāka podcast. This is Kushalmehra. Prime Minister Modi is touring. I think he's in France or he's left France on his way to America. I think, yeah, today, 12th, he's supposed to reach America. So, Abhijit and I thought that I think it's important to discuss Trump 2.0 and India America relations in Trump 2.0. So, Abhijit, where do you want to start? We first look at the India America bit because the Prime Minister is going, or you just want to look at Trump 2.0 in general? Pehle?
Either or you decide. I'm good either
So
way.
okay, let's start with the Prime Minister's visit. So I want to focus on this very specific thing. I'm sure you must have read the budget bits and bobs, and we had reduced significant custom duties on a lot of items. One of the things we reduced the custom duties on was, if you remember, Trump. I think Trump has a stake in Harley Davidson, or he just loves Harleys because Trump has taunted India about Harley Davidson at least 5 times. I remember he has
Mm.
separately taunted India on Harley Davidson. So India has reduced the Harley Davidson tariffs by 20%. But before the Prime Minister has gone, India is, I think, going to reduce tariffs on significant luxury vehicles to please America. There was a report in the Business Standard where they are saying India is scheduled to reduce after what we did in the budget. We are
Mm.
planning to cut tariffs on 30 products to avoid US reciprocal duties. And those products, especially, are going to be in like Trump has previously called India a tariff king and stuff like that.
Mm.
And our exports to America are basically industrial machinery, gems and jewelry, pharmaceutical, fuels, iron and steel, textiles, vehicles and chemicals.
Mm.
And Trump's whole thing is, अरे तुम लोग हमारे चीजें नहीं लेते हो, you guys also have to reduce this, buy more stuff from us. So what do you make of this entire tariff war? Do you think India has actually handled the Trump tariff bit the most mature manner?
Yeah, because we know it's not going to affect us. You know why? Even if we reduce the tariffs, America and luxury are two words that do not go in the same sentence. You see, the thing is, you travel, I only fly Qatar and JAL, sometimes ANA. Occasionally, if it's some other weird destination, I'll take the local airline, but whatever. Uh, you ever traveled by American Airlines, United or Delta Business?
No, I'm not. But internally in America, I use Southwest American Airlines all the time. I've also used Sprint because sometimes some destinations that's the only
You've
available
got
flight.
one airline there that is worth flying in business class, which is JetBlue. Okay. Uh, the rest are shocking. American cars make German cars seem reliable by comparison. Okay. And a German car is one where ek boond pani padega, just one drop of rain, and they'll stop in the middle of the road. Right.
Mm.
So, uh, and what is the last great American perfume you remember?
Honestly, I don't.
Hmm.
I won't lie.
It was Estee Lauder. Estee Lauder is the only great perfume to ever come out of
वो
America.
अमेरिकन है, मेरे को तो लगा वो कोई फ्रेंच वेंच हो गया, ऐसा ऐसा
No,
कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नाम है उसका.
it's fake French, but it's actually American. Yeah, I think it's bought over by the French, though, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check. Um, Estee Lauder, Wikipedia. See, this is the only thing Wikipedia is good for, right? Estee Lauder Wiki. Uh, huh. American. It's still American. And it's the second largest cosmetic company in the world after L'Oreal. Okay. Now, other than Estee Lauder, there is literally not one single uh, American luxury product worth buying. Not their airlines, not their cars, not their motorcycles, not even their whiskeys. I mean, people go crazy bourbon, bourbon, bourbon in American shows. इंडिया में बर्बन बिकता ही नहीं है, सस्ता बिकता है, घटिया होता है compared to all the single malts. Listen, India produces way better whiskeys. Have you tried a Paul John? The best whiskey is actually a Jammu whiskey called Gyanchand. Okay. things like that. So we will happily remove imports on all these things because we know no Indian is ever going to buy American shit.
So like Ford now, Ford has left India because they were
Ford,
complaining
okay, now
25%।
let's look
मैं
at
तो बोलता
Ford.
हूँ
Now,
हटा दो
Ford
25% टैरिफ, फोर्ड को आने दो।
Ford was a classic case of a mid to low mid priced car. Why did they fail in the market? They never launched a new product of their biggest selling model. You know, at one point, the Ford EcoSport was the biggest selling car in India. They never updated it. All the others came and overtook them. Same thing happened to Fiat as well. They were resting on their laurels. The Endeavor did not adapt itself to changes in the market when the Fortuner came. Not that the Fortuner is a very good car, the Fortuner is a terrible car, but at least it's much more reliable than the Endeavor. So there was nothing left after that.
पर
So,
यार एंडेवर गाड़ी अच्छी थी यार, I have
it was
driven
a
it, it's a good
lovely
car.
car. It was a lovely car, but it didn't respond to the market well. See, you have to keep evolving your product. No?
Hmm. But do you think actually, let's say in motorcycles and four wheelers, right? Two wheelers and four wheelers, if we remove the duty altogether and we tell Trump, look, we've done this, we've done XYZ, what kind of a deal should we strike with them? See, one is business to business. My concern is this entire US aid thing, and that's what should be our main focus. What
Hmm.
we found out with US aid in terms of the American interference, see, I consider American interference in Bangladesh to be a subset of American interference in India. I don't know
Of course,
what your opinion is. It is,
it
right?
is.
So
It
we are
is.
on the same page. So
Hmm.
I am looking at what America has done in the last 1 year. Do you, so okay, so if you are Prime Minister Modi and you're going there talking to President Trump, what kind of a conversation would you have? Let's now start with that.
So, as I'm told, the Americans were quite happy to share all the USAID recipients in India. The Indians aren't very keen for the list. You know why? Yes.
I
Yes.
know why। अरे
बताओ।
I know why। कुछ अपने लोगों का भी नाम होगा उसमें, और क्या, और क्या। तेरे को लगता है मेरे को मालूम नहीं है? मेरे को तो मालूम है।
Because the BJP itself has so many validation craving ass lickers who need to lick white ass. Their rank is full of people who have taken money from USAID.
Obviously, सब मिले हुए जी।
Yeah. So they don't even want it announced openly.
I think somebody should just get the names and leak it.
I hope the American side leaks the names,
मजा
but
आ जाएगा।
the BJP shitting bricks. They don't want the names. Why do you think they're so quiet on it? And why do you think they're talking about Ranveer Allahabadia? I mean, you can also say there is one conspiracy theory which isn't too far fetched, that it's all the OTTs going after Ranveer because they want to shut down content, because all the YouTube content creators are now furious because they feel it's an attack on them. But this whole thing, this all of the sudden this comes up out of nowhere. The video is how old?
I don't know, man. I don't follow Indian comics.
It's a few months old anyway. Now, here's the thing: when this starts up, you should realize this from my arrest in Odisha. These things are never organic. They are never organic. You are paid or you are incentivized to create a hangama and tamasha about all this shit. Okay. So
Hmm.
it is something. Listen, lynch mobs in this country, when are they ever organic?
इंटरनेट तो नहीं।
इंटरनेट तो नहीं, इंटरनेट तो कभी नहीं। रियल लाइफ में हो जाता है, स्पेशली इन वन सर्टेन कम्युनिटी, but that is
Yeah.
usually a WhatsApp incited or word to mouth incited thing. But internet pe, there is no such thing as a spontaneous outrage thing.
Hmm.
जो आउटरेज तिरुपति लड्डू पे हुआ था, उससे भी ज्यादा आउटरेज अभी दिख रहा है. Do you believe it's real?
I've heard many interesting theories, magar that is not the aim of our podcast today. But
Anyway, this is just a
we'll
theory.
discuss it tomorrow.
I've heard this from the horse's mouth, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. But
Mm.
it's very interesting. A lot of PR campaigns parallelly are running on the internet
Mm.
right now, all sides. Uh,
So this is
yeah,
why.
I listen to the theory of how Rohit Sharma and all these cricket players' names have been systematically dropped. That is firefighting from the podcaster's side.
हाँ,
क्या हो रहा है? हम डूब रहे हैं तो क्रिकेट प्लेयर को भी लेके डूबेंगे.
हाँ, लेके डूबो ना. The second thing is, he's gone there to proactively stave off trade measures.
Yeah.
So Jaishankar went there proactively, and I mean, there was no resistance from India when Rubio said, "Bro, we want to deport." He's like, "Yeah, please deport. If they're illegal, they're illegal. They deserve to be deported, and we will settle this under the logistics agreement, wherein end of the year we will tally up the accounts. Uh, as much as we owe you. That's it. Absolutely smooth. No, there was not even a quick kuch nahi. And it was the right thing to do because they are illegal. They brought shame upon the country, right?" Now, uh, uh, so it was done. It was done in the most mature way without a squeak from India. Okay, same thing will happen with tariffs. He'll go there. He'll proactively say, "Okay, what do you want done?" वो सब हो जाएगा, so it'll never come to a trade war. Well, it's kind of come to that. He's imposed steel and aluminium import tariffs, but they'll get a waiver from it in no time. Arey, they got Trudeau and Claudia Scheinbaum got this thing, no waivers within like
Mm.
what 7 to 8 hours of tariffs being announced. They called
Yeah.
up. Um, so it'll be done proactively. It'll be done away from the cameras. These are the things. Modi is very good at charming people.
Yeah.
Unless you're a Randi ka bacha like Obama, who thinks his brains extend all the way up his alimentary canal to his ass, and he's too superior for people like Modi. Because this is what happens with these self-proclaimed intellectuals and their delusions of high intellect. Obama says the most mundane things, and people go gaga about it. Oh, he said the
Mm.
sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Wow. कौन से बड़े कद्दू पे तीर मार दी भाई. And then
Mm.
you look at Trump, who's actually got this surprising knack of being very, very perceptive. And they will ridicule him for it. He's the one who said all of these California's water problems are because of this fish. And everybody was like, ha 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 ha, he, what a clown, red head, orange head, whatever, whatever, whatever. When you go into it, you see that preservation of that one fish played such a huge role in not storing water and crap like that,
Mm.
which caused God knows how many billions worth of damage, right? So he's actually extremely perceptive about these things. You find me one Obama speech that you've learned anything from? Nothing. So Modi is very good at winning over normal people, not the celebrated intellectual assholes of America. But it's he's going to do what he was elected to do, to be the Prime Minister of India and protect Indian interests. He's very good at it. He's going to go there and do that.
See, on the immigration bit, I don't understand what the fuss is all about. The Minister of External Affairs actually shared all the numbers, and they're right. We've had an uptick on immigration deportations from the last 2-3 years. 1800
Yes,
उसके पहले 700 800 आ रहे हैं. So
yes.
why is the big deal now? It's always happened every year since the
Mhm,
last 10 years. People have been sent back to India.
mhm. You remember last year under Biden, some uh, all these halfway people that had gone up to Costa Rica or something like that were all sent back.
Yeah.
It's very normal, nothing. See, here they wanted to make a tamasha out of it. Okay, this is the
Hmm.
same people who wanted you to believe that Jay Shankar being Modi not being called to the inauguration was a snub. Then the Congress actually prepared I know this from people inside the Congress. They prepared a campaign based on where Jay Shankar was going to be seated. And when he was bumped up very, very significantly in protocol, they all went chup. I mean, they tried to foist it, but kuch hua nahi. Hmm. Ignore. They're not important. They're background noise. Main thing here is Trump isn't taking any major coercive action against India. We've got our plans ready for him on how to deal with coercive action. We're going to proactively go and reduce um, tariffs on things that don't matter, which Indians aren't going to buy. One of the things that he wants, I presume he'll want, I don't know the details, will be agricultural products. Okay. Now, there are some American agricultural products which will actually sell in India. So, for example, uh, American corn. Hmm, it may sell in India. The thing is, India already produces that American style sweet corn in very significant quantities. Those California strawberries, people don't realize this. It was a US aid funded program that set up strawberry growers in India, and we now produced very, very good strawberries. Those same big California style strawberries. Uh, the only luxury product in the strawberry market is actually tiny French wild strawberries, which won't sell in the Indian market because they'll cost about 6, 7 times what a normal strawberry does. They're intensely fragrant, but you won't get them here. Okay. Uh, uh, the Americans are seeking reductions, as far as I knew, in potatoes and chicken. Okay, they want import of American potatoes and American chicken. Now, the thing in India, it's very curious. Have you noticed Americans like everything big? Indians like everything small. Lasan na wo Chinese bada wala lasan acha nahi hai. That big Chinese garlic isn't good. The native small garlic, which takes you 100 years to separate it and then peel it individually to get that same quantity of garlic. They'll insist that is the best. Big onions, no good. In fact, in Tamil Nadu, only poor people use big onions. Small people use small. They're shallots, but we call them small chinna small onion. In India, across the board, there is this notion that big is bad, small is best. ठीक है तो उनका potato which are huge, I mean one potato will be the size of my head, I'm exaggerating, but whatever, बिकेगा नहीं, right? Because see, when we cook potatoes, the flavor of the potato is kind of irrelevant. For the Americans is extremely relevant because they make potato mash, which you need a certain consistency for, or French fries, which are a blank canvas. Here you'll only go in for small stuff. I mean, our big potatoes are as much as you'll go. Later, it'll be damalu, which is baby potatoes. Chicken, American chickens are huge. The Indian market, first of all, does not have the cold storage to be able to deal with imported meat. Imported meat is extremely niche, high end. By the time it gets to the market, it'll rot. And so, I fundamentally believe we should remove all tariffs on chicken import as a sop to Trump. The first month, the entire shipments will get destroyed and no importer will want to buy it. And anyway, when a Indian sees a chicken leg the size of Abhijit Iyer-Mitra's oversized forearm, or possibly even my uh, back arm, whatever it's called, my biceps, bro, trust me, nobody's going to want to buy it. And it's going to rot. So listen, we have 100 different trade defenses in this place. One is the mindset of the Indian buyer itself. जब हार्ली डेविडसन पे टैरिफ उठा था, did anybody buy a Harley Davidson?
Why would anyone buy a Harley Davidson?
Exactly. Why would anyone buy a Harley Davidson when we've got the Bullet, which is such a superb bike? The color combinations and things on it are way superior to anything Harley Davidson has. It's been turned into an amazing product. The mid-age crisis uncle walas in India go and buy themselves Bullets. Yani ki Royal Enfield, sorry, not Harley Davidson. Okay. So there is that so we actually have so much flexibility in what we can do without it making diddly squat change for us.
On the agriculture bit, right? I think India did the smartest thing. I don't know how many people know this. In 2023, we removed the retaliatory tariffs on lentils and pulses of America. After that, the Canadians got really scared and they increased the sale of lentils to India by 120%. But India has removed the Canadian bit and has gone to Australia. Now, if India was smart and they want to make Trump happy, so basically India could make Trump happy
So this is what I mean.
by
There is
getting
more than enough.
lentils.
There is more than enough room for maneuver and leverage out here to not affect the balance at all.
Yeah,
You know, Trump can just say, open your market to American chicken. When American chicken fails and nobody buys it, what is Trump going to do?
nothing.
Nothing. It's like we can open the market to American cars, but honestly, who's going to buy a Chrysler, a Dodge, an Oldsmobile, a Lincoln Continental, a Cadillac? इधर मस्टैंग मिलता है 1 करोड़ रुपए का. A few people bought it who are shocking. That's about it.
Yeah. Now, here's the bit. I think why the lentils bit is important is it gives us leverage with America on the Canadian issue. We can tell
Mm.
the Americans, we'll buy your lentils, you fix this Canadian Khalistan issue. Do you think we can do that? Because that is the best way to screw with Canada. Just stop buying lentils from them. Saskatchewan literally collapses. Like they really rely on Indians purchasing lentils from them, Saskatchewan.
See, the problem is in India, especially the foreign ministry, which we also justifiably detest. Um, Most useless characters around. It should be called the Indian Faltu Service. So the Indian Faltu Service has this belief that trade should never be weaponized. I kid you not. This is their
Trump
sort
is
of,
doing exactly that.
yeah, but these guys believe it should never be weaponized. So it is what it is.
I had one more question for you. Can India make Trump happy on the defense bit? Because listen, if one thing you only told me, and I mean, I agree with you on that 100%, that if anything, the Russia-Ukraine war has shown us is the Russian weaponry sucks. That's the one thing India can think of, right? We can start buying more American products in terms of defense equipment. Why can't we do that?
So we will. That is what we did in Trump 1. That is what we'll do in Trump 2. But what we buy has to be very careful. We can't just buy things because we have to buy.
Yeah.
We have to buy things that suit us. So if you buy, say, Poseidon, the P8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft, it's a fantastic aircraft. Kharido. Okay. If you want to
Mm.
buy more drones, General Atomic, I say get a license production thing for it and make it out here. Anyway, those particular drones use the exact same engine as the Dornier maritime patrol aircraft, the smaller one, DO228. So, we should absolutely do that as well. Uh, we need more attack helicopters, get a license production for the Apache and do it here. What I oppose is buying useless stuff like the F-35. Okay, now the problem with the F-35, people don't realize fifth generation warfare is system of systems warfare. Buying one thing without the other is useless. It's literally like imagine tomorrow Apple comes up with its own version of YouTube, Word, Excel, which files can't be read on Android or Windows. And the Wi-Fi used for Apple cannot be used for Android or Windows. Because of information security, that is exactly what the F-35 is. So the compatibility is so bad. The hidden costs of making everything else feed into the F-35 are insane. For every dollar you spend on the F-35, you will have to spend $3 to $5 depending on what you're going to do to make everything else compatible with the F-35. Otherwise, it's just a low visibility missile carriage, and it's too much of a price to pay for that. The
Mm.
Su-27, which is the competitor, is the same piece of shit that India was funding in its development. And when it came out, we said this is such a horrible, low class, low quality product. Even we can build a better plane than this, and we left that program. So, what ends up happening is there are things which American purchases which are fantastic for us. There are American purchases which are not good for us. The issue here is you need to crack the whip on HAL. You saw Shivaru's thing, na? He got that
Yeah, yeah.
exclusive where the air chief marshal is going apeshit at HAL. Bhai, it's now come under the PMO. Where are the results? Where are the sackings? And they're all blaming G. G told, go check out Angad's timeline, Zone 5 Aviation on Twitter. Angad had made it very clear 6 years back when, was it 6 or 8 years back when this contract was signed? G had clearly told us in the first year you are getting one engine. In years 2, 3, and 4, you are getting two engines each. In year 5, you will get between 6 to 10 engines. They are now saying, oh, this is all because of G. Benchod, you already have one engine. No? What about that one plane with the one engine? You at least hand that over to the Air Force? Not even that. Do you know in these supply contracts, you can sue the living daylights out of the manufacturer, out of the supplier for not meeting their supply timelines? Why aren't they taking General Electric to court then? Everybody knows. Everybody knows. They've just got these PR sasta YouTube rundis, DRDO HAL fanboy rundis to go around saying, "Oh, this is actually, it's all DRDO, it's all GE." They told us very clearly. In fact, do a program on engines with Angad. He'll sit and
अच्छा,
tell
मैं
you
उसको
what the.
मैसेज करता हूँ.
Huh, okay. So he actually sat and he told us this 6 years back. We knew this was going to happen. This isn't
Hmm.
some last minute thing.
यार मगर
Uh,
फिर then what are the national security implications if HAL is failing? Then what do we do? We have to rely on imports, na? What do we do? I mean, if we suck, right, Abhijit?
but here's the issue. These fifth generation fighters are so hyper specialized, none of them suits you. If you get the F-35, I'm telling you, for every dollar you spend on the F-35, you'll have to spend $3 to $5 fixing everything else.
Then what is the
If
solution for us?
the the Su-57 is not a fifth generation fighter. It's a shitty little fourth generation fighter masquerading around as a fifth generation fighter. लानत है रूसियों पे ऐसे घटिया प्लेन बनाने की.
तो
I
हम
would
भाई
any day
रूसियों का
choose.
प्लेन ही लेते रहेंगे फिर.
I will any day choose 100 MiG-29s even now over the Su-57. There is a solution. You want to cut costs? There is the Korean so-called fifth generation, which isn't really. There is the Turkish so-called fifth generation, which again is not politically suitable for us because
बिल्कुल नहीं.
is it even fifth generation? There is a Japanese technology demonstrator. Uh, you can do something with the Koreans to up engine it, and unfortunately, Indians seem to think that up engineing and redesigning it to an Indian need is easy. It is painful. Upsizing means all the 90% of the technical drawings have to be redone all over again and tested all over again. There is the Anglo-German, I think it's the Anglo-French-Swedish or the Anglo-German-Swedish sixth generation fighter program. Maybe join that and negotiate an R&D and industrial development worth share. If the PMO gets involved in this, I fundamentally believe, and if it starts cracking the whip, it can actually set the fifth gen fighter that we're developing on track.
Yeah, but other than the PMO and HMO, honestly, there is no efficient office in this country. What
But there is no
what
efficient
hope do we
office
have?
in this.
There are only two
HMOs
efficient
are
offices
terrible.
in this country.
Yeah, but see, the PMO can't get involved in everything. But I think it has now reached a crisis proportion where the PMO really has to get involved. If you remember, for a while in between, I think in the late 2000s, the missile program wasn't doing very well. Manmohan Singh sacked, I think it was Shivarur who wrote the article on it, because the ballistic missile, the submarine launched ballistic missile program was failing badly. They sacked all the engineers working on it. They didn't sack them. Like in India, sacking a babu leads to all kinds of consequences. But
Transfer.
transfer kar diya, and they gave it to a whole new set of scientists who produced some fantastic missiles. So there is accountability if they choose to enforce it within the system, which you can do. It will have a high proportion of imported products. The data link, in fact, is already available because Sweden is moving away from its traditional data link to the NATO data link. That is a banaya, ready to go off the shelf data link, which you can use and incorporate it completely in India. Make it your own, like we made the Jaguar our own. The things we have done with the Jaguar are genuinely wonderful. Even the Brits didn't do with the Jaguar what we have done, or the French. So there are things that can be done. There are programs that can be salvaged. But you have to see, the issue is the nuclear program was always treated as extremely, justifiably, treated as extremely high priority. It always came under the prime minister. And every prime minister took it. Everybody makes fun of Manmohan Singh saying, oh, we will never use nuclear weapons and bullshit. He was actually very cold and calculating in private when it came to nuclear weapons. Here, we've got a prime minister who is he's almost tyrannical on program management. That is exactly what you need. You need a tyrant on timelines and program management, cracking the whip on the fifth gen fighter. Fuck the Tejas, dump the Tejas, and move on to your fifth generation. We can't expend resources on all this bullshit. TBD, technology B, demonstrator, blah. No more bullshit, man. Dump everything else and focus on the goddamn fifth gen fighter. Now.
One last thing on the India America bit. Do you think a lot of this can be supplemented? I had thought of two things. One is the lentils bit, which I think is going to be a great geopolitical advantage to us to deal with the Canadians if we start shifting from the Canadian lentil to the American lentil. Three states in America will benefit from this. They produce lentils. And the last is obviously we'll have to buy their oil, right? We've already stopped our orders for Russia का थोड़ा orders in March, right? ऐसा कुछ किया हम लोग ने.
Look, we'll buy whatever we need to buy. The Americans aren't sanctioning us for buying anything from Russia, na? तो हमारा क्या जाता है? So we buy from Russia, we buy from America. Russia doesn't give a damn, America doesn't give a damn, everybody's happy. And anyway, oil we have to buy. There's nothing you can do about oil.
So now let's first let me take the questions, then we'll go for the overall Trump 2.0. I'm just going to take questions which are strictly related to India America. किसी ने बोला था, can we expect F-35 and few squares of Rafales from this? Do you expect that?
I hope no F-35s. I really oppose F-35 right now. Um, yeah, like I've explained, it's not a good fit for
ठीक
us.
है.
Rafales, yes, but see, this is the thing. We should have bought like 100, 200 Rafales at one shot. This buying in drips and sops is horrible because you can't negotiate proper industrial transfers.
Hmm.
Okay, it's very bad. So no, please, no more Rafales, especially none for the Navy. But ye to hoga hi, because the Babus have money to make admirals and air marshals have wives Louis Vuittons to buy and children who want to go to Harvard and shit like that. So what can you do? So, but understand, it will not be an operational imperative. It will be the Louis Vuitton and Harvard imperative. Uh, uh, this he- Unfortunately it might. That's the problem in all of this.
This
Next.
is a good question. Should we allow Musk's Starlink? What would be the economic benefit outweigh the security threat? I think Starlink को भी आने दो, वो इतना महंगा होने वाला है, वो कैसे जियो को हराएगा मेरे को ये तो बताओ.
Geo's come up with its own satellite based
Yeah.
thing, and I believe in a free market. uh, could Starlink get weaponized or whatever? Sure. But like, we also need a right wing ecosystem. Aane do, it will not be able to compete with Geo. Everybody said we could not do 5G without the Chinese. Reliance
We
ने
did.
करके दिखा दिया ना तुमको, and we didn't get any Chinese shit inside.
Not a single Chinese part in that entire ecosystem.
Not
Not a
a
single
single
Chinese part.
Chinese part.
Yeah.
Not one. We did it.
This is a good question. If the current US regime cuts down the budget of USAID, wouldn't they continue their regime change efforts through the State Department?
See, they are cutting down the budget of USAID is not the same as defunding USAID completely. They are not defunding USAID. It is now coming under the State Department, which also means that the budgets will be much, much more focused. Now, understand, this is very good for us because what was used to regime change in Bangladesh and India was also used to regime change in America. They were running anti Trump, anti Republican narratives, which an intelligence agency should never do. The point is, you need to take the next 3-4 years while you've got that window of opportunity. Of course, it's going to be weaponized against us at a later date. But in those 3-4 years, you need to identify who all the recipients were, throw them in jail, and set up counterintelligence systems that prevent these things from happening ever again.
Okay. Is the US deliberately withholding
We
GE
already
engines
spoke
or
about
is the issue? Okay. ये हो गया है. Uh, um, Nuclear power. Why we remove liability for markers if there are compromises with construction are running it? Shouldn't they be liable? I don't know.
makers, not markers. I mean, he's
Markers.
written markers, but he meant makers.
Huh.
Uh, it's the global standard, and I'll tell you why. When you have a operator, the operator is responsible for the quality. Okay. The builder has the technical know-how and they're building it. You are meant to go inspect it. When a bridge collapses, if the builder operator, it is the operator who's also the builder who gets arrested for it. It is not the stonemason who laid the bridge or the cement wala who laid the thing who gets arrested for that kind of crap. Why? Because the operator is required to have done quality controls. It's that simple. See, if an Uber car crashes, is it the driver who gets arrested or is it the Suzuki Desire manufacturing manager who gets arrested? Okay.
Hmm.
Even if there was a design flaw and fluid was whatever, you prosecute the guy for doing maintenance for checking all these things out. So it is the accepted thing in nuclear trade that the operator needs to have the capacity, the technical capacity to audit construction, and at the construction phase, there is liability at the construction phase. If design flaws are found, if construction flaws are found, the builder is held liable for it. The issue comes about if there is a malfunction during operation, which the operator did not uh, have the technical capacity to assess.
Okay.
And there's a reason for this. When Chernobyl happened, the inside was so irradiated, you couldn't even go in and do a forensic audit of who was responsible and who was not. These laws developed for a reason. And that is exactly it, because in some cases, you might be able to go and do an audit. But if the failure is catastrophic, you will not, because everything will be so badly irradiated. Of course, that was human, that was outright human. It was a human made accident. They were doing experiments which they should have never been doing in Chernobyl. Okay. So the thing here is you have to be, these rules have sat and developed for a very, very specific reason. And it is the operator in all nuclear reactors across the world, in Russia, in France, in Germany, in Japan, in America, who take the responsibility for it. And there is constructor liability at the construction stage till the point that the operator does not sign off on it saying, I am satisfied with the quality and I have taken over full operational control.
What counterterrorism assurances can India expect from Trump and Pakistan given his transactional approach? Good, because I was going to ask you this question. I'm glad a viewer has asked this.
Nothing, because Pakistan has nothing to give. Kangal Desh hai. What can they buy?
No, but how can, I think what they mean is कि हम पाकिस्तान को और harm कर सकते हैं क्या ट्रम्प को बोल के? I think that's what they're intending to ask.
Um, well, look, the thing is, India itself has lost interest in Pakistan, because you tell me, where is the terrorism now? It has been comprehensively defeated. There will be terror attacks, but there is no insurgency anymore. The state of insurgency is over. So our strategy right now is to ignore Pakistan and just pretend that there is India and there is Iran and there's something called the Pakistan inlet of the Bay of Bengal, of the Arabian Sea. We just pretend that Pakistan doesn't exist right now. Have you noticed newspapers don't run? पहले मनमोहन के जमाने में every day there would be some Pakistan news. Today, you're lucky if Pakistan features once in a month, if at all. Who covers Pakistan? It's been erased from our collective consciousness. So we actually don't want to have a Pakistan conversation with the Americans or anybody else for that matter. As far as we're concerned, there is no such thing. India has a sea on its western border, and the other side of that sea is Iran and Afghanistan.
Got it. Okay. Why doesn't the US sell F-22 to its allies?
It was too heavily advanced when it came out. Remember, it was the first fifth generation fighter. And it took Russia almost, 20 years. The F-22 came out in 1997 or 8. Let me just check. F-22. First operational unit happened when? Yeah, its first flight was 1997, 27 years ago. It was an extraordinarily advanced plane at that time. And the second thing which people do not tell you now, the propaganda reason is that it was very advanced. When you sit and break down the technologies, it was super advanced for that time, sure. But even under those classifications, I know at least two allies who qualified for F-22 sales. One was Japan and the other was America. UK. The third was Australia, in fact, more than the UK. Surprise. Do you know why none of them wanted to buy it? Because
No.
being the first fifth generation aircraft that used extreme low visibility, what people call stealth is a much more complicated term, but anyway, that use stealth. For every flight hour, it needed 30 hours of maintenance. Per hour in the air, it required 30 hours of maintenance. It was unsustainable. It was totally unsustainable. The anybody buying it, I mean, imagine you fly it for 3 hours, and for every 3 hours that you fly it, it cannot fly for the next 3 to 4 days.
Hmm.
Okay, this is not a tangible solution for anybody. There is a reason America itself cut the total numbers. Initially, 1,200 were to be procured. Then it got reduced to 1,000. Then it got reduced to 700. Then it got reduced to 300 and something. Then it got reduced to 100 and something, because it was a
Hmm.
maintenance nightmare. So, A, it was too technically advanced. Two, it wasn't a sellable product.
Do you think the A10 Thunderbolt is a good fit for India? This is another
Uska
American product.
see, see the A10 Thunderbolt uh, answers a question which other people have now answered now differently, much cheaper. See, this was a time when I want to show you how the A10 Thunderbolt is. Let me just. Uh,
I have the
a
image.
it is uniquely, no, there is a very specific image. It is very uniquely a plane that is built around a gun. It isn't that the gun was the afterthought. The gun was the main thought, uh, and the plane was actually designed around the gun. Okay. Now I'm going to show you this. Okay. Share. Can you see this?
Yeah, it's loading.
Yeah. This is the gun of the A10 compared
Hmm.
to a Volkswagen Beetle.
Hmm.
Okay. Can you see this?
Yeah, yeah.
Let me expand it so you guys can
Holy
actually.
moly.
Hai na? So this is how it was. And that is the Gatling gun around it. There is another where, yeah. Now you look at how big this gun is compared to the plane, but there's something else. I'm going to do a search for A10 landing gear. A10 Thunderbolt front. It is actually offset. Yeah, okay. Can you see this? This
I
is how
can.
you know a plane is designed around a gun. This is the center where the gun is.
Hmm. It's
And the front
fascinating.
landing gear is on the side. Now,
It's so fascinating.
yeah. So close air support has moved on from guns. We now use precision weapons, which drones are able to do. Drones are much cheaper. They don't require to be manned. They can drop precision weapons, even very fast flying fighters that do not need to be so heavily armored. The A10 is heavily armored, are able to launch precision strikes from a distance. They are able to detect enemy forces even in a very close meld combat situation. They are able to detect enemy forces and your own forces and bomb very precisely. So it is the A10 was, had you asked me the same question 30, 40 years back, I would have said yes. Now, absolutely not.
Okay, next question. How will Make in America work under Trump, seeing that labor costs are astronomical? Wouldn't it be wise for India to make manufacturing deal right away, right now?
Yes. The problem is we're so late on the manufacturing revolution.
Yeah, honestly, The one thing you should keep pressurizing, I have this sincere expectation from you. Never let India get Bangladesh back in textiles ever. We made
Ever.
the mistake. We made that, we literally let them come up when we should not have.
Mm.
And look what they did to us. They bit us
Mm.
in the back,
But we
stabbed us
learned that
royally.
lesson. No? We're never going to let them come back. Not in textiles, not in ceramics.
Destroy the Bangladesh textile sector. They
No.
cannot survive without us. Do not let them come up now. Take all those
Mm.
jobs. Ludhiana. Why can't we give jobs to Ludhiana? Ludhiana was the biggest, competitor of Bangladesh in many
Yes.
items. Give
Now
it
the
back to
thing is,
Ludhiana.
yeah. So now understand, we have skipped the manufacturing revolution. Things are now very rapidly moving into additive manufacturing, 3D printing, and shit like that, which is, it's by the time we grade up to Chinese levels of production and things, uh, um, 3D printing would have already started taking away the low level. So the risk factor now in going for manufacturing is immense. Okay, you had 300 years to get into manufacturing. You did not. 200 years at least you can claim that well, I mean, even those 200 years, the British were realistically only in charge from 1757 till about 1950. So and even 1757 was only parts now. uh, Technically, from the end of the Maratha Empire, so about 1815, 1820 to 130 years. You had 70 years before that to industrialize. You failed spectacularly. After independence, you've had 70 years to industrialize. You've failed spectacularly. अब कहाँ से करोगे भाई? Now we're moving on to the next phase of manufacturing. Things are only going to get worse. Okay. Now, what Trump is doing to America will distort the American market. Let them pay the price for it. Because
Yeah,
what
it's going to
tariffs do is
create
they distort the
huge
market.
inflationary
Yeah,
trends in their
it'll have
market.
massive inflationary pressure out there, which is kind of what Trump wants. Because remember, one of the ways of wiping out debt is to create an inflation economy.
Hmm.
So you go in for inflation, it wipes out a significant value of the debt. So what is in de facto a $36 trillion debt, by the end of Trump's term, if he works inflation right, could actually come down to about 32 to 30 trillion dollars, possibly, when
Hmm.
combined with cost savings and things like that, if you work inflationary pressure right. The problem with inflationary pressure is it's very, very, very addictive. Once you get into it, you can't get out of it. Hmm.
Hmm.
So उनको उनके करतूतों का ये भुगतने दो.
Okay, this is an important question. What about Trump on Gaza? What do you make of this entire thing? Now, Bibi Netanyahu has made a clear statement that if by Saturday all the hostages are not sent back, the war is back on. I don't understand what Israel and America both are doing. I'm actually truly confused now.
Okay, so this was a negotiating position. We now know this because what happened was he wanted Jordan to take in a million Palestinian, well, not close to a million Palestinians. The Jordanian king came, sucked up to Trump, said we'll take 2,000 critically or severely ill kids and their families. And Trump is like, Bindas, great, thank you. That's all we wanted. Now, the plan. So I'm assuming it's a negotiating position. Now let's assume it was not a negotiating position and he's serious about taking over Gaza. The plan is to create a economic strip out there with heavily invested real estate developers and manufacturers who have such a great interest, financial investment in the region, that they will actively select people much more ruthless than Hamas to cancel out Hamas. And in return, the Gazans get new infrastructure. I don't think that works, and I'll tell you why. We know in India, this is the materialist approach to counterterrorism, which is if you deliver luxuries, essentials and things like that to a society, it does not resort in terrorism. Disagree. It is called in India, we've got this concept, which I think is a much more realistic concept, called the counterinsurgency triangle. And what it is abey yaar ye reactions aa gaya. And what it is basically growth, security, deterrence. Security to control, deterrence to prevent, and growth to make these two seem normal. That the other two in this particular case are big ifs and buts. How do you deter somebody whose greatest aim in life is to die? Because these are
Hmm.
brainwashed whack jobs. Okay. Best of luck. I mean, I'm hoping this is a negotiating position. I think the example of Jordan shows us it's a negotiating position. If it's not, well, America's walking into a disaster. Best of luck to the Amer. I'm just glad it's not Indians.
How will Trump's retreat from global rules impact India's United Nations WTA climate goals, or how should we respond? Like, they basically have the White House climate page decommissioned now, or in the process of it. So, like,
So look,
how are we
you-
supposed to react to this?
this Dr. Tedros, he came about because America during Trump 1 had taken a backseat. They said, we don't want anything to do with the WHO, we're pulling out, which is why China was able to foist this Ethiopian bastard onto us. Okay. Now, if you withdraw and gut the organization, gut all the people who have helped sustain it, like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Eco Health Alliance, and Peter Daszak, and people like that, it is sustainable. On climate change goals, I think we need to fulfill our climate change obligations because it is good for us, not because we owe anything to anybody else. We need to make our agriculture much, much more efficient. We need to reduce the transport chains because it reduces your fuel consumption. We need to do more energy efficiency because it's good for us as a country. It reduces our import bill. It is better for the economy. And you generate actual manufacturing jobs and create economies of scale in India. The only reason I support the climate change economy is because it is fantastic for India if we actually got our heads out of our asses and decided to do something about it. But all we ever seem to do about it is Randi Rona.
Hmm. All right. Uh, what is there? I just want to make sure all the India America questions are done before I talk about generically about Trump 2.0 and wrap up. Uh, no, so this is the last one because others have nothing to do with what we are discussing, so I'm not taking them. Do we invest money in on some things like high altitude test beds, anechoic chambers, isothermal forging plants, which would act as multipliers for defense outputs?
Do you know we have some of this stuff? And DRDO goes out of its way to prevent private players from coming and using them. This is what happens when you roll testing, auditing, development all into one organization. The conflicts of interest are so severe that it is, forget borderline corruption, it's in your face corruption. If you started throwing MRTP, Monopoly and Restrictive Trade Practices Act, there is nobody, literally every employee of DRDO would be in jail.
Well,
Well,
okay.
not employee, manager.
Yeah. So last bit, what do you make of Trump 2.0, the way he's handled things so far, whether it's the Israel bit, whether it's this entire obsession with tariffs, whether it's this whole Doge thing, or even, that entire that guy, I don't know, that apparently that boy who had made some racist "we must normalize India" hate comments, and then changing, and then
Look,
JD
I have
Vance
no
tweeting. Oh
problem
no,
with
no,
that kid
overall
who
Trump
made
2.0.
India. See, I have no problem with that kid who did India hate, unlike, say, Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer is an irrelevant, bloody social media good for nothing. Go after her. This other kid, what's his name? Marco Elets. Marco Elets.
Hmm.
I don't give a shit if you hate Indians. I have not hired you for your personality. Okay? I have hired you to do a job. Now, Marco Elets may hate the guts out of Indians. He may want to uh, uh, rape and torture, kill every Indian woman he meets, and burn every Indian man he meets alive. But as long as he's able to dismantle US aid or any of these other American bodies that are actively harming India, I will have zero qualms about pinning a Padma Vibhushan or something like that on his label as long as he pulls it off properly. His Desh Seva to India in dismantling USAID, FEMA, and all these bastards, NGO bastards, Open Source, Open Society, and all of that is far greater than his India hate. I can live with that.
But
We
for
were
the record, I'm
dealing.
not gonna take the name, but someone I know, someone both of us know. मैं private chat में नाम तेरे को बता रहा हूँ.
Mm,
He told me he spoke with the kid. The kid
mm.
really regrets what was said, and he was so distraught and shocked, and just let the kid go. And I think बालाजी का तूने take पता नहीं देखा कि नहीं, और बहुत लोगों का take तूने देखा कि नहीं. But many people spoke with the kid that the kid genuinely regrets that. So I know it for a fact the kid genuinely regrets it. So
So,
आगे बढ़ना
look, I
चाहिए.
don't even care if he doesn't regret it. I don't even care if he's unapologetically a white supremacist. Are you forwarding India's foreign policy goals by destroying US aid? If so, congratulations to you, sir. Did Hitler forward the cause of Indian independence by destroying Britain industrially? Yes, I congratulate you, sir. Did President Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Harry Truman squeeze the balls out of Winston Churchill to give India independence? Yes, they did. Did they also continue to oppress black people in the South and segregation? Yes, they did. I have no qualms. I salute you, sir. You are Indians first. Okay? Look at what suits you. It's that simple. He can hate as much as he wants. I will more than happily tolerate it. Why? Because it suits Indian interests. Laura Loomer, on the other hand, shitting on Indians, I will go after her because her value to us is useless. She's a lump of shit who needs to be taken down a peg because her utility is zero. It's that simple.
Hmm.
See, why do I tolerate shit coming out of my ass? Because it is a accepted thing. You have to deal with shit if you want to eat, have calories, and stay alive. Do you think anybody would ever want shit anywhere near them if we didn't provide them with calories in the eating process and the bowel fermentation process? No, it's that simple.
See, my point is, do we? Okay, let's assume they didn't apologize. It's all wrong. What can India do? Like, what is India supposed to do about it? What
Nothing.
can
We're
India
meant
do?
to mind our own business.
Yeah, we can't do anything. Like, what are
Yeah.
you gonna do? Say, how honestly beyond the point? What can
Listen,
India do?
from 1947 to 1967, we dealt with Americans who were de facto having racial segregation in the South, uh, very frequently use those terms for us. Indians who went to America, had they gone to the South, to Georgia and things like that, would have been subjected to the exact same racial discrimination.
Hmm.
तब तुमको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं था ना. सडनली क्या प्रॉब्लम है तुम लोगों को?
नहीं, और कर क्या
My
सकते हैं?
thing isn't Indians in America. For me, Indians in America are a goal to my interests. Full stop. If you help me, thank you very much. If you don't help me, I don't care if you get gassed off. Indian interests first. India, not Indian American. Okay? अमेरिका जाए भाड़ में. अमेरिका का माँ का भोजड़ा. India first, India always. And if I have to take help from General Tojo and Hitler, like Subhash Chandra Bose did, I have no issues with it. Is he screwing over the Brits? Fantastic. Thank you very much. Is this kid screwing over USA? Thank you. Marco Elitz is an Indian hero. I salute you, Marco Elitz.
I mean, I don't understand what can I do sitting over here. I mean, I'm no fan of that boy. I don't like him. I found the defense of JD Vance to be stupid. But what am I supposed to do? I have
No,
no
I
stake.
think JD Vance said the right thing. He's been hired for his technical skills. He's not been hired for his personality. He's not been hired for his political views. And I think if people start hiring people for their political views, we're going down a very, very dangerous path. I think every rank casteist in India has a right to a job, just so long as they don't enact or play out that casteism in their workplace. घर पे जाके करो, बच्चे के शादी पे करो, खुद की शादी पे करो. Just don't display it in the workplace. Full stop.
Yeah, but if the boy did, then he'll get fired. It's as simple as that.
It's that simple. He did not display it in the workplace. This was some board somewhere. And this piece of trash from Wall Street Journal, Nai Sasti Taylor Lawrence, dragged him up for it. I hope the bitch rots and dies.
I don't know. For me, honestly, it's very simple. I did not know a lot about this subject. I did not follow it because I was like, Patani, there are so many things that travel these days, and it's immaterial. So, closing comments before we wrap up um, on the entire Trump 2.0. What do you think 2025 lines up as far as Trump 2.0 is concerned?
Like 2026, all my astrologers are predicting we're heading for a major global meltdown.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, ये मेरे business के लिए बहुत अच्छा है. So think of me what George Soros is to markets. I am to geopolitics. Every major disaster is a major opportunity for me. I want all of you to morph my face onto George Soros's face, and that is your next meme challenge. क्या कहते हैं? AI whatever challenge. Okay. मेरे लिए बहुत अच्छा है. Now, is Europe going to fight back? I don't know. Are Gaza and Ukraine going to resolve? I don't know. I am optimistic, but not really. For me, the flashpoint really that I'm looking at is Iran, because Iran is now very close to the bomb. I don't believe that. This is what all the experts are saying. I personally feel they're at least about 2 to 5 years away from a bomb if they accelerate. But there are certain signs that you can tell they've accelerated their R&D, which I'm not going to discuss on a public forum. But there are satellite
Obviously.
methods of detecting. Um, an acceleration of manufacturing efforts. But non lethal pressure, which is sanctions and all in Iran, will only postpone the day when you give an ultimatum and send 5 aircraft carriers against the Iranians on an ultimatum. The Iranians will be bound to do certain things. That scares me. Iran is the one situation that scares me a lot more than Ukraine or Gaza. And the sad thing in all of this is that India is one of those few countries which the Ayatollah regime was infinitely better for us than the Shah was. The Shah was a toxic little piece of shit who went around supporting Pakistan militarily, supplied them with arms and ammunition, supplied them with diplomatic protection. Uh, he prevented Indian air attacks by stationing Iranian planes at certain places where we would not be able to then bomb anything around it. Uh, he was a right royal piece of shit. Now, maybe the Ayatollahs are not good for Iran, but I can tell you they're very good for India. Okay, Khomeini Zindabad, Khamenei Zindabad. देश का नेता कैसा हो आयतोल्ला खमेनी जैसा हो. Now, it's not good for Israel and America. Well, Israel and America can go suck it up. I'm India first.
Yeah, that is the one thing Israelis and India always have a disagreement on. They're like, "Salo,
And I'm
ye kya
very
kar rahe
clear. Every time I go to Israel, I just prevent the conversation from coming up and tell them straight up. Listen, we're never going to see eye to eye on Iran. The only common interest we have in Iran is for non-nuclear Iran. Other than that, the Shah can go. I don't know. Copulate with himself up every orifice of his own. We don't want him back. The Ayatollah regime is fantastic for us. Thank you very much.
And this will break the heart of many people." Anyways,
Alas.
oh, well, too bad. So, do you think India can negotiate anything with America on our Canada problem? Do you what do you think is going to happen now that Trump and Modi are meeting? Do you think they will discuss that? Because I think we have given 12 names that we want back in India.
वो सब आने वाले हैं, देखते रहो.
बहुत मजा आएगा. I think one of them is that Khalistani who is in America apparently. I think we want him back. देखो.
Whoever it is. I would, more important, I think, is the fact that the prosecution of Nikhil Gupta is dropped because it was a clear case of entrapment. Uh, I've spoken to his lawyers, in fact, well, his people close to his family, and they're quite clear that their lawyers are telling them they have a very good chance because it's entrapment.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's see. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Well, let's hope for the best. I think Trump 2.0 is going to be very interesting and very entertaining for everyone. The one thing that is guaranteed with Donald Trump is everybody gets entertained. रोज आके कुछ
भाई
कुछ
अगला 4 साल में एक दिन भी बोरिंग नहीं होने वाला है. This much is guaranteed.
yeah,
We can
yeah.
literally
और
do a podcast. I think we'll have enough content to do a podcast every 2 days.
yeah. तो क्या बोलता है वो? मेरे को तो हंसी आती है वो जब उससे बोला था कि मैं होटल बना दूंगा उधर. अरे तू होटल क्यों बनाएगा गाजा में भाई? तो वो लोग किधर जाएंगे? वो लोग किधर जाना चाहेंगे?
Exactly.
मैं तो होटल
Exactly.
बनाऊंगा उधर. आदमी है,
Exactly.
कुछ भी बोलता है. अरे बस अरे बाप रे, एक यूजर ने क्या बेइज्जती की है. डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प में संजय राउत ऑफ यूएसए. आइला, इतना नहीं बोलने का, ऐसे नहीं बोलने का. But well, anyways, we'll wrap it up over here. I took all the questions that were related to our discussion. If I miss some out, maaf kar dena. But we'll wrap it here. You can follow Abhijit on X. His Twitter handle is there. And as far as I'm concerned, you know the drill. All the descriptions, whether it's the Patreon, whether it's YouTube membership, whether it's my book, whether it's one-time donations to UPI or Interac Canada, whether it's the merchandise, all of it is there in the description of the podcast. So जो कर सकते हो कर देना. अगर कुछ नहीं कर सकते तो like, subscribe, comment कर देना. और जो आदमी आज इस उम्मीद से आए थे कि मैं और अभिजीत रणवीर अलाहाबादिया और बियर बाइसेप्स और समय रैना के इशू पर बात करने वाले हैं, उनको शत नमन. क्योंकि हम अभी बात नहीं करेंगे, हम बाद में बात करेंगे उसके बारे में. अरे दुखी हो गया मैं 2-3 दिन से. और अभी वो मैंने समय रैना का ट्वीट पढ़ा, उसने पूरा चैनल ही डिलीट कर दिया. उसने बोला मर जाओ सबके सब. मैंने पूरा चैनल ही निकाल दिया. तूने देखा
उसने
उसने
क्या
चैनल?
किया समय रैना ने?
उसका ट्वीट बताता हूँ, रुक जा, तेरे को क्या बंदा है बेचारा। उसका ट्वीट का एग्जैक्ट वर्ड्स है, एवरीथिंग दैट इज हैपनिंग हैज बीन टू मच फॉर मी टू हैंडल। आई हैव रिमूव्ड ऑल इंडियाज गॉट लेटेंट वीडियोस फ्रॉम माय चैनल। माय ओनली ऑब्जेक्टिव वाज टू मेक पीपल लाफ एंड हैव अ गुड टाइम। आई विल फुल्ली कोऑपरेट विद ऑल एजेंसीज टू एंश्योर देयर इंक्वायरीज आर कंक्लूडेड फेयरली। थैंक यू। यार गलत किया यार ये,
Listen, this country is a
मतलब
complete shithole, huh?
या अरे भाई, और मेरे को गुस्सा क्या आ रहा में, रणवीर अलाहाबादिया, सी द बिगेस्ट लेसन इन दिस, एंड दिस इज माय व्यू, नॉट अभिजीत, when you're not a comedian na, don't try to be one. Ranveer Allahabadiya has destroyed the careers of 30 other people who were part of India's Got Latent. एक रणबीर अलाहाबादिया की बकवास ने समय राणा का कोई लेना दे रहे, समय राणा इस समय बैठा
Except
होगा
the
और बोल रहा
girl.
होगा मुझे क्यों
You
तोड़ा।
notice the girl hasn't been named in any FIR.
नो नो, शी इज, आज गई ना खार खार पुलिस में, मखीजा, उसका मीडिया, उसके ऊपर मीडिया चैनल ऐसा माइक लेके जा पर, अब ऐसे गंदे गंदे कमेंट क्यों करते हो। That's so stupid. Oh, this is so stupid. I've never seen something as stupid as this. आप गंदे गंदे कमेंट क्यों करते हो? Oh man, yeah, it's crazy. चलो, anyways guys, so now I've given you even enough masala to trigger you. अभी ये पूरी चैट में नीचे कमेंट्स रणवीर अलाहाबादिया के ऊपर होंगे, जबकि पूरा हम लोग ने 99% बात ही नहीं
Full,
की है उसकी।
full support to Samay Raina and Ranveer Allahabadia. All those opposing you, जाके मरो.
अरे बाप रे, अभी मैं बंद कर देता हूँ इसके पहले कि ये और कुछ बकवास बोल देगा। एवरीवन बाय बाय, टाटा।